intelligence field, competitive strategic market intelligence talks a lot about decision making and supporting decision makers and supporting the strategy and all that sort of stuff. And that's pretty good copy, but it's wrong. The actual thing that intelligence should be doing is testing the strategy, putting options on the table, and then supporting the sacrifice of the suboptimal options. That is not done largely, and you've been in corporate America long enough to know it's whatever's right in front of their nose and whatever's most attractive to them career-wise that will be the default choice. Right. And that's seldom the optimal choice for the enterprise that they serve.
Interesting.
It's that attitude we've got to attack if we expect to make a difference in the failure rate, which is ultimately what we're testing here is, can we make a difference in the rate of failure of new enterprises?
Point 2, 0.1 miles. You're ready to right on north.
I think this is it. Now,
450 feet, it says.
there is a little secret entrance here.
Right
This
here?
might be it. I think this is it. Hey, and there's Kurt and Craig right back there. They were walking in. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? My name is Eric Johnson. I'm the founder and chairman of Aurora Worldwide Development Corporation. And for the last 24 years, I've been studying competitive and market dynamics in industries of all kinds. And over the course of that time, Aurora has developed into really a three-pronged business. Aurora GPS is our professional services and consulting business. First Light is our software company, and Reconverge has become our social learning community online, primarily, and also through some events that we do. And the people that we normally hang out with are people who kind of study and learn from the future. They look at what future trends are pointing towards, and then how those trends will either present a vulnerability or an opportunity to the companies that they serve. And as we've done that, Aurora has noticed that there are some operating rules or heuristics that we think we've turned into an algorithm that can help an organization be more intentional and be more of an intentional leader in terms of its growth strategy. And we refer to this concept as the angles of attack. What we've noticed is that every organization has certain frailties and weaknesses, and those frailties and weaknesses are exploited by competitors and other actors in the market to limit their potential. And so angles of attack is really our theory to help explain and direct how those growth strategies should be governed instead. The notion of doing this was first brought up in the context of startups because startups tend to fail at this really, really high rate. And venture capital is accustomed to that high rate of failure because they have to refinance those failures with the large exits that they produce from a company going public or having a large acquisition. And I think those are that's the wrong outlook or the wrong mindset to have on growth. Growth shouldn't be about the exit. Growth should really be about operating and the operation of the business to grow its own footprint and influence and results. And so that's really what angles of attack is about. It's about making exits less necessary because you don't have to refinance all the losses because you don't have as many.
So one analogy that I think might help clarify what I think would be a good outcome for this group would be that in 1930, no one was obese. There were no obese people in the world in 1930. Why? Because the term didn't exist yet. We didn't have the term obese. We didn't use body mass index. We didn't use any of those things. And now it's the term that everybody uses. It had always already existed until we put a new label on it, and now there's so much action around it. We've classified, we've reorganized. You get tested every time you go to the hospital. It's the standard language that happens. I think that these curves that we're talking about, they already exist. But as you said before, people don't have the language or the vocabulary to deal with it.
Right.
So if we do this well, then we've created a simple vocabulary that everybody has for everything that's already existed. It's there. We just haven't given them the language or the words to use it. So if we do this really well and we have simple indicators, they now have the language and the words to do it, and it becomes simple. And much like that, we give them a comparative nature to it. So if we can do that, then then we've won. It's not innovative. It's just, well, it is innovative, but it's
Absolutely.
it already exists. We just have to get the words right.
So we had this program in the fall of 2018 called Demolition. Demolition took founders and their startups through a deconstruction process around their strategy, their product offer, and then their pitch. And then we put them back together again over the course of about 3 weeks in a way that made them less fragile. We basically took their business model apart, found all the weak points, took those out, put their business model back together again, and then filled in the missing pieces with things that would actually get stronger when put under stress by the market.
My wife and I are caregivers to our mother-in-law. She has stage 4 lymphoma cancer. My wife and I thought we needed adult daycare and respite services. What T-Care actually identified that we needed was marriage counseling. Because the at-risk factor to our burnout was the toll that caregiving was taking on our marriage. And that's what had led us to start developing the intention of placing our mother-in-law in a long-term facility.
So for me, there's a couple pieces that really excite me. A, being a pioneer, going into something, but the other piece is the environmental opportunity. See, the opportunity of creating a new category of alcohol that's 100% dependent on a creature that's totally imperative to human life, right? It's well, why not just? It's renewable and sustainable. We just have to make more bees, stop killing them. And if many people choose to drink a honey spirit, they're directly supporting that, supply and demand.
I came out of high school, I spent 12 years in the Marines. I was with 2nd Combat Engineers and did the minefield breaches in the 1st Gulf War. For me, veterans with PTSD, a lot of them commit suicide, a lot of them turn to drugs, a lot of them turn to alcohol. I recoined for myself, PTSD means positive transformation, strategic direction. My strategic direction is Ready Eddies.
Let me ask a question
Please.
since you just said that.
Yes.
Because I will tell you, it was invented 300 years ago. Why didn't it stick around?
Yeah.
They've tried everything.
But what about those with chronic conditions or, in Obamacare language, pre-existing conditions?
The thing that we've got to work through is how to sequence the complexities. And that's going to be driven by the questions you've got to ask and answer. Is there some threshold of diminishing returns? where my ideal final result was an impossible vision, but an approachable vision, at which point it's good enough. I should quit.
Does your product touch the caregiver in any way besides getting input from the caregiver? And I mean directly touch. I don't mean do they benefit from the output of it, but does that product reach out and touch them, give them information, send them emails?
It does not.
But still, what I'm getting at is there's a movement related to the product and vice versa, because like I said, if you take the product out of it, you're just back to, hey, everyone save the bees, and we've been doing that for decades. It's not going real well.
That's off the table.
It's got to be valuable, meaning someone else, not just you appreciate it, but others appreciate it, whether that's customers or policymakers or communities or the university, whatever. Some of those folks have to be satisfied. It's got to be valuable. It's got to be rare. If everyone does it, it's going to be hard to sustain it over time. It's got to be difficult to imitate. The word I use is inimitable. It's horrible. It's academic. You don't want to. If everyone can do it, it's easy to copy. Your advantage won't last long. And last but not least, it has to do, you have to be able to make it happen. You have to implement it. And the letter we use for that's O for organizations. Valuable, rare, inimitable, and you can do it. You can organize to deliver that. So whatever innovations you choose have to pass those 4 VRIO tests. It's got to pass all 4, by the way. If any one of those are missing, it's not sustainable.
When the jet engine first came on the market, it was nowhere near as good as a piston-driven prop engine. It blew up, it used tons of fuel, terribly unreliable, et cetera, et cetera. And part of it is because when you put it on the market, you've just come out of development to get onto the market, it barely works, by design. If you wait till it works perfect, someone's putting you out of business before you put yours on the market.
The first curve is called alpha. The alpha curve is what big successful companies are used to competing on. That overshoot means that there's insufficient demand at the top end of the alpha curve to support the business model. You've been so successful that you think that just continuing to turn that crank and get a little bit better every year means that there's more demand up there. And that's not so. So what an alpha has to do instead is when they get to the point where they understand that they've got the sweet spot, they need to lower the curve of development of their offer so that it matches the curve of expectations of the marketplace. Market expectations will always grow at a slower rate than your ability to engineer a solution. Understand the big trick here is understanding when to lower that curve. So beta, angle of attack beta, happens as a result of the alphas continuing to drive performance. They figure there's more demand up there, so they continue to drive performance of the product offer and end up in a place where there's not enough demand to support the business model. The beta says, we could take their least desirable customers away. The alphas aren't even protecting them. They're undefended. This is undefended. They've abdicated that part of the market demand curve. We're going to move in with a product that's 60% as good for 10% the price.
The idea is, can I get all 10 of these essential ideas in a 3-minute pitch, in a 5-minute pitch? And ideally the answer is yes. And we're going to actually walk through this process of deconstructing that 3-minute pitch into 10 unique different categories. We're going to start with the foundation. So you have, all you need to do is you need to write down 20 sticky notes. On one sticky note, you're writing down, well, what is that key message? And it has to fit on there, okay? The other sticky note is what visual will help me communicate that. Because remember, I'm only giving you 30-point font. I'm not giving you a lot of room. But if you could communicate that using a picture instead of words, that's better. Because then they're looking at the picture and they're listening to you. You've probably heard this advice before. People remember what you start with and what you end with, okay? So they started with this story. Marine Corps vet, single dad, I had a problem. Okay, I'm connecting with you as a person. Then at the end, I connect with the output of that. Like, oh wow, this is what this guy came up with. That's fantastic. What happened in the middle, people pay less attention to. They'll forget that stuff. You know, beginning and end. Make sure to start strong, finish strong. Stumble a little in the middle, don't sweat it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
Appreciate it. Dominic, great to meet you. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun. You guys are heading up north now?
We're going up to Green Bay. It's great to meet you. Thank you guys for being involved. We'll talk to him later.
Yeah, you do not. Sure, yeah. I hear you. First day, you don't like snow? So I chose you for the day, knew what was coming today, but it's good for you.
That's good, Joe. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? So today what we're going to do is we're going to introduce you to 3 founder teams that we have had the privilege of working with. I think they would all tell you that we did a pretty good job of totally dismantling their business model and then reassembling it this week in a way that is anti-fragile. And when I say anti-fragile, that's a very deliberate adjective, because when stress occurs on that business model, they'll actually get stronger. This hypothesis is a testable one, and it's a testable one that I think is going to unlock the future of competitiveness, not just for the United States of America, but for the world. That's a bold vision. And if you're with me, we're going to do a little bit of that today.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
We're going to have T-Care start, we're going to have Gomellos go second, and Eddie's going to bring us home with a big finish. I'm going to want you guys to give them a score, give them a score of between 0 and 10 in each of those 10 categories, because whoever's got the highest score is going to win. And it wouldn't be a competition without a winner.
Well, my name is Ali Ahmadi, CEO of T-Care. At T-Care, we are a behavioral intervention system that helps family members that are taking care of their elder loved ones in their home with specific disease-related needs, reducing the family members' stress and depression by identifying exactly what they need help at the right time, at the right place, to prevent their burnout and placement of the elders in a nursing home. When a family member is taking care of their loved one, they go through what at T-Care we call identity discrepancy, which is, in the beginning, you are 90% son, 10% caregiver. Towards the end of life, you are 95% caregiver, 5% son. That is known as identity discrepancy. And in each one of these phases, there are different stressors and depressive factors in this transition of role. At T-Care, our solution does an assessment of that family member's needs. Our proprietary algorithms identify the at-risk factor to that burnout, and based on that, provides the right resources at the right time for the right families to prevent that burnout. Personally, my wife and I were taking care of our mother-in-law. She has stage 4 lymphoma cancer that has been living with us. We are caregivers that understand the right time, right place. My partner, Dr. Rhonda Montgomery, is the recipient of the Leadership in Caregiving Award by the First Lady, Rosalind Carter, for her research in our IP that identifies the scientific validation behind identity discrepancy. We started T-Care with a $4.4 million grant from the National Institute of Health and NSF. T-Care is the only evidence-based, scientifically validated, Medicaid approved, and ACL accredited family caregiver support system in the country. Our competition is the status quo.
You ready? So I'm Dominic DeSano. I'm the founder and CEO of Domelos. I want everybody to say Domelos with me. Domelos. Excellent. So the liquor industry, mainstream liquor industry, has been making the same booze using the same ingredients for hundreds of years. And to make a top shelf premium spirit, it takes a large amount of energy through resources, processing, and land use. Honey has never really been considered a major viable source for spirits. Whether because it's considered expensive, scarce, or because it's shelf stable. It's never really been considered. And the bees are on a rapid decline. They are actually declining faster than ever, and it's been happening for close to a century. As a society, we are disconnected from our environment. We make poor choices for our planet. But what if we could solve these problems in one fell swoop with booze? One of the most powerful things in the planet. People love their alcohol, and they don't like it when you mess with it. If you fall in love with it, you're making a really easy choice to support the planet. This is our secret sauce. So the time is right for this. And there's many things that make this right. And this is the Vincent Column Beehive. And this Vincent Column Beehive basically is designed to create a habitat for a bee that's basically designed for optimum bee health. As a category creator, we need competition. We need people to make this. And we want people to make this. And this puts us in the front of the realm. All we make is Sommel. So there may be other distilleries that will make it, and we want them to do that, but we will strive to make the best in the world.
So I'm Ed Swanson, president of Tasty Bites LLC, which is a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business, and we produce a product called Ready Eddie's Frozen Sandwiches. As you saw in the precursor video there, I didn't set out to invent a frozen food. I actually spent 12 years in the Marines. I specialized in weapons and hand-to-hand combat, and I did my combat tour with 2nd Combat Engineers, breaching the minefields and clearing the bunkers. Well, then I ended up becoming a single parent with 3 kids. And so I was learning to cook out of, need for survival. And you heard my story. I was trying to make a pizza dough from scratch, didn't have all the ingredients, made unique substitutions. The kids didn't like it because the pizza was too soft. I didn't want to waste anything, so I took leftover dough, stuffed it, and the rest was history. Ready Eddies are made with Wisconsin ingredients. I use premium ingredients. I use Lamers Dairy, I use Patrick Cudahy bacon, Belgiocio cheese, and truly I hope that many of you had an opportunity to try one, and I hope that your experience was that it tastes like it came fresh out of the oven, which is very different than what we're all used to for microwave foods, making it a unique product. So additionally, I had success before where I said demand exceeded capacity. And part of that model, what made it so successful is I was out in the grocery stores and I was having that direct contact with customers. I was getting the feedback, but I was able to get them to taste the sandwich. When I launched into 250 locations, I quickly realized there's no way I can go out and demo all these stores. So we're now putting focus on a veteran franchise model where there'll be incentives for the veterans, to get into the business. Additionally, we're working with a broker and we're working on opportunities to get Ready Eddies into military bases. You can see on the map the opportunity is incredible, but as a service-disabled veteran-owned business, this isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Thank you.
Awesome. Great job.
Great job, Ed. Pretty cool, right? We got three, very compelling businesses here. And you guys now have the unenviable task of picking a winner. So we have a winner, and it was really close. You guys were all in the 70s, and that's saying something for this group. I think that the overall kind of closeness of the scores is pretty telling. So go ahead, Jason, plug it in, and let's see who won. You may turn around if you want. This is the average score, so know that. There you go. That was the final results.
All right.
It's T-Care with a 79.58. DeMellos came in second, 76.07, and Eddie, you got 71.62. I want you to know something. Eddie put that thing together last night, so like that did not exist until this morning. So congratulations to all of you guys, and big congratulations. It has been such a privilege working with these guys and a couple of your other team members too, Laura in particular. I just want to thank you guys for the willingness to be vulnerable. It's not a super comfortable process when somebody takes your business apart piece by piece, gets all the weaknesses out, and then puts it back together in a less fragile way. I think that we did a lot of that, but you guys did it, not us. We just gave you advice on how to use the tools that you use to do that.
From what we saw 4 weeks ago when this began, and even in speaking to the entrepreneurs, they recognize how much difference that it really made. Their business models have changed. Their revenue generation potential and channels have changed. Their concept of vision, where they hope to go with it, in every case, has changed. And all those changes have been for the better.
The value that we received was we were able to think about our business in ways of multiple different angles and create a push-pull type strategy in future growth, not just 60-day, 90-day, but 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years out.
So having the roadmap and then having some really solid, I guess, strategies on how to get there and what to really hold on to was the best part.
The amount of transformation and confidence that each of the entrepreneurs had during this process was mind-blowing, and a credit to them. They showed up for this and really made it their own, and we're proud of them, very, very proud of them.
We really appreciate Aurora WDC's group. This was amazing.
You guys are superstars, and hopefully we can party on a beach one day. DeMellos.
What an enjoyable time, and just knowing the difference and the good that we've done is so rewarding in and of itself.